Welcome everyone to today's edition of the Take 15 podcast, created by me, Sally Walker of SW Career Coaching Limited. The idea behind the podcast is that I have a 15-minute coffee break length conversation with people who are in roles that are of interest to you as job searchers or career changers. I ask 5 information gathering questions to help you learn more about the role and whether it matches your expectations. So today's 15 minutes is with events planner Gemma Dudley. Gemma, welcome to the session today.
Thank you for having me.
No problem, great. So, again, we don't have a huge amount of time. Shall we dive straight in, Gemma? What's been your career path as an events planner?
Well, I always knew I wanted to work in events ever since being a young girl. So I headed off to uni, packed up and did my event management degree and postgrad degree. And then I started off in the charity sector, doing events for like an arts charity in Sheffield. From there, I ended up at the university, Sheffield Hallam, doing helping with the graduations. And I really wanted to stay in that sector. However, it was a temporary contract, things are fluid. So then I moved into hospitality and started my event sort of planning in hotels, the leisure industry. And then after a couple of years at the Sheffield Marriott Hotel, I headed south down to Hertfordshire and started doing weddings in a golf club. Then from there into the city of London, doing more corporate, and that's where I stayed for quite a while. So I stayed in the corporate industry, looking after sort of blue chips and sort of the bigger firms. And majority of my career was at Arsenal Football Club, where I basically did all the in-house. I did all the non-match day events, looked after them there. So it was anything from weddings, conferences, bar mitzvahs, team building activities on the pitch, like you name it, we did it. So that was really great. And then from there, I really was looking for a change. I wanted to get back into the charity sector and do more sort of outside events and festivals and things. But it was really difficult to make the jump from that sort of sector with a big mortgage and everything, sort of trying to move out into the other field. So I sort of moved back north, and then I found my dream job. So working for a charity, doing exactly what I was wanting to do for some time. So and that's where I am today. I'm in a charity looking after events in parks and festivals and activities and lots of lovely things. So yes.
Brilliant. Gosh, what a variety, Gemma. Really have. You've tracked up and down the country in different sectors. You really are an expert by the sounds of it in this area. Well done you. Gosh. Can you just talk us through what's sort of a typical day then for you as an events planner, maybe even in your current job? What's a typical day?
It's varied. So unless I'm on the ground on an event, it's very much office based, and it'll be sort of checking with the emails, make sure I get back to clients that day, and then anything reactive that comes in, sort of deal with that. But then it'll be site visits, going out, meeting clients, showing them around the parks or the venues that we have. And then usually back to the office to sort of finalize what we've done and put everything in systems. But then event days, they're long days, they're on the ground with your radio, your headset, and you're sort of, making sure everything's happening. So it's really, really varied. And that's why I love it so much, because there's no 2 days that are the same. It's all it's all busy and varied and lovely. So.
Exactly. Yeah, no, sounds like it. And so in which case, just share us a little bit more perhaps about, what you like about the different aspects of the job. I mean, you said you like the variety, but, again, what do you particularly like about being an events planner? And again, are there any aspects that you don't like so much, maybe you dislike?
What I do love is the feeling I get when the event goes well and your client and all the attendees are happy and thrilled. That's what I absolutely love. I love the adrenaline rush of being there on the day, and you're sort of seeing it all through from inquiry to fruition. That is the most rewarding thing. There's nothing I really dislike, because I mean it's just perfect for me. However, it is very, very stressful and it's very demanding. And work-life balance, sometimes when you're on events, it's very long hours. So that's the sort of side that is, not as great as the hours and the stress, but there's so many advantages that it sort of balances out quite nicely at the end of the day.
And I suppose it would depends what sort of events you're organising as to whether it's, affecting your evenings or weekends or whatever. Obviously, there are daytime events that might not affect your work-life balance quite as much. So again, that's maybe something for people to bear in mind, the sort of events, obviously, that they're organising.
And it depends what sector you're in as well. So if you're in
Right.
a venue in the corporate, like I was for a long time, then every day you're looking at events. But when I've sort of moved out into the charity sector again, it's more, you've got your calendar of events, you know what you're organising and when, so you can sort of balance things a bit better. It's not going to be every weekend like it might be in venue. So yeah, it's ups and downs, peaks and troughs, but it's
exactly. So yes, you make that distinction there between working within a conference or an event kind of venue, and then working outside of that within a charity, as you are at the moment, where, as I say, you're responsible for setting up events from time to time. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The distinction there. Got you.
Yeah, it's working in-house is very different, and I've sort of had to go away and sort of learn from scratch again, because in-house it's the clients coming to you and you're just selling the venue and running the event with your ops team in the venue, whereas now it's, we're in a park and we've got to do it all ourselves. So it's very different, but it's good to learn something different. So both sectors are wonderful to work in. It's just they definitely have pros and cons to them, both.
Interesting. And again, you just, to our next point around skills and qualities, generally what skills and qualities do you think you need to be an events planner? And are there any that you need, particularly if you're going to work in a venue, and any that you're finding now that you're out, working outside of a venue as you are in a charity, that you need, that maybe are different?
I think generally it's sort of people skills, being able to build relationships, being bubbly and having a good personality, and just to be able to connect with people on their level as well, I think. So that they're really the key skills. And just to have a passion for it as well. I think wherever you are on events, wherever sort of whatever part of the sector, they always end up happening. It's just how you deal with under stress and under pressure, and with the sometimes upset, irate clients that you can get. It's how you can deal with that and balance that. And obviously being organized, attention to detail, being focused, all those things really play a part. And but really relationship building, what I'd say would be the key, because if you don't get your clients on side and you don't understand what their needs are and what their expectations are, then you're never going to be able to deliver what they actually want. So
yeah, absolutely. No, really good point. And I think that sense of having to be really flexible, but also resilient by the sound of it. When things don't go as planned, you've got to be pretty resourceful, haven't you, to kind of, right, what are we going to do as an alternative, I suppose?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of thinking on your feet, and trying not to be flappable under pressure as well, and not letting the client know sometimes that anything's going wrong.
That's interesting. Yes,
Sort
exactly.
it out before it comes to them, so
and equally, as you say, when things do go wrong, being again calm and able to handle perhaps complaints. I don't suppose that happens very often to you, Gemma, does it?
No, it doesn't. It has done in the past, but it's just how you deal with it. It's I think there's always one sometimes where, for the best will in the world, you don't get on with the client, or and then things from there on just sort of disintegrate, and it doesn't flow. And that's tends to be where I see the complaints, not because the event hasn't happened or gone well, it's just a relationship sort of hasn't gelled, and the friction from there sort of one word bothers another sort of thing, and it just sort of can erupt. But generally it's how you deal with it when that happens, and when it comes in, it's what your response is and how you can sort of, you know, work together to try and find a way to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just before we move to our last question, what's been a kind of particular event that you look back on really proudly that you have pulled together with you and your team?
It would be one of the biggest events we ever had at Arsenal, an international corporate client, and it was very last minute. We had to turn it around within a matter of weeks, where usually we would have a lead time of 6-7 months on an event like that, where it was sort of 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow,
that we had to turn it around, and they were very, very I wouldn't say demanding, because that's a bit unfair, but their culture expectations they were based in Dubai. So in Dubai, it's 5-star 24/7 service where they can get hold of you whenever they need you. So it was sort of trying to bridge that gap and be as available as possible. But obviously here in the UK, we don't necessarily work around the clock. But it was really challenging, really fun, and we got the best feedback we ever had, and
brilliant.
You know, it was really, really successful. But it was the pressure beforehand, you know, was quite immense. So
well done, you. Well done. And so sort of lastly, Gemma, just any advice or insights that you want to share with our listeners to kind of help them maybe find out more about being an events planner, if that's something they're interested in as a possible kind of career?
Well, I'd say it's definitely, if you're interested, go for it, because it's wonderful to be in. And just network with as many people as you can. Try and get to work experience, if that's an option, just to shadow people on the field, like on the ground. And yeah, in hindsight, I would have said potentially I wouldn't have done my degrees, because I felt that in hindsight I've learned more from being in the role and doing the work, rather than from the degrees. They gave me the confidence and the know-how, to be able to get a foot in the door, but it's the experience that really gets you in, and it's your connections and your network and who you know within the industry, because it's a very small industry. Everybody does know everyone, and I think if you can get some experience with someone, then that'll pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe some volunteering, again, in a charity, for individuals who are interested, helping out that way, and being involved in the organisation, the planning of a particular event could give them insights, obviously, couldn't it?
100%, yeah. Especially in the charity industry, we're always after volunteers,
Good.
So definitely, that would definitely be something good to do.
Super, great. Well, thank you so much, Gemma, for your time this morning, and I'll let you get back on to planning the next event or whatever you're up to today. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.